Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Editorial Edge. I'm Bhuvan Jha. Am I audible? Am I visible to all? Can just whoever is watching me live, just quickly let me know. Meanwhile, all those who are watching this live and all those who will be watching this during the course of the day and thereafter, welcome. This is the Editorial Edge. I am Bhuvan Jha for the 5th of July. And we shall begin. So we have two topics. In fact, we have two sessions today planned. Okay. Because we need to cover some topics. All right. So in the 8 to 9 session that's beginning now, we will look at two topics. One is obviously the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Good morning, dance floor, Deepak. Welcome all of you. Okay. One is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, for which a meeting was held yesterday. A virtual meeting was held. All right. You had the Prime Minister of India attend that meeting. So we'll take a look at what was the outcome of that meeting, what essentially is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And if you have been noticing, we have been looking extensively at, say, organizations. So in the past, good morning. In the past, we have had a look at, say, BRICS, yesterday's class. Before that, we have extensively looked at the G7, the G20. So organizations should be a thrust area for any student. Good morning, Lekam, Subhadeep. Welcome all of you. Okay. So today we'll look at the SCO. Okay, that's the first agenda. And thereafter, we'll look at something called dark patterns. Now, dark patterns is obviously an emerging concept, so it's advisable that you make yourself aware of it because you are directly impacted by dark patterns. If you can guess as to which field am I talking about, that will be a good start. Don't Google. Okay, can you just guess? Is it to do with space, or is it to do with, say, coloring and pigmentation, or what is it to do with? Okay, just take a wild guess. Sirisha, Bipen, good morning all of you. बहुत स्वागत है आप सभी का. ठीक है. So this is going to be our agenda for the day. In fact, if you notice, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization was asked in the year 2021, okay, in the mains. So you see, it's a topic, organizations you need to be focused on, especially if you want to understand international relations, You need to understand IR through organizations, okay, especially for the exam perspective. So we'll straight away start because there is no point wasting time. So first one, yesterday's meeting, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. You have essentially now the induction of a new member. Okay, Deepak, we'll see. I want the rest of you also. Go ahead and guess. Which field am I talking about when I refer to, say, dark patterns? Okay, just take a wild guess. That's our second topic for the day. So in yesterday's meeting, you had Iran that was included in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization as a full member. Okay. So now what is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization? Who are the members? First, let's understand. What is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization? Yes, it's a political, economic, international security and defense organization. Essentially, understand it as a regional organization. So you have, say, international organizations, right? So you have, say, like IMF, World Bank, all of these are what? International organizations. Their members are from different continents, more number of members. Then you have these regional blocks, these regional organizations that form. Good morning, Bulbul. Welcome, Bhaskar. Okay. Dance floor. See, Belarus is essentially still not a full-time member. Okay. Its membership is in process, which means we will not be counting it amongst the full-time members right now. In fact, if you look at the Foreign Secretary of India, he made a statement yesterday that the process for induction of Belarus as a full-time member in the SCO has begun and it will be included next year. Okay. So, 2-3 things first. This is a regional organization, and in terms of a regional organization, it essentially looks to position itself versus the Western powers. Okay. First things first. So, it looks to position itself against the Western powers. It's the world's largest regional organization in terms of geographical scope, population, 60% of the area of Eurasia, 40% of the world population. In terms of population, yes, it does represent a bigger segment. Okay. But in terms of, say, influence, if you were to talk about it, if you were to, say, objectively assess, say, SCO versus, say, BRICS, which is the more relevant organization, you will see that comparison may be futile. Okay. Because often, what we tend to look at it is, say, from a particular point, say a military standpoint or a population standpoint or contribution to the economy standpoint. So never get trapped into that discussion that, okay, which is the more relevant organization? No. In that case, you will always play it safe and say that they are dealing with different realms, different priorities, which is why it is futile to make anything of it. Okay, you all have made your guesses. Good, good. We'll see. Dance floor, bulbul, आप सभी ने आंसर दिया. Ankit, good morning. Welcome, welcome. ठीक है. So you look at its combined GDP now, 20% of the global GDP. If you remember yesterday's discussion, you must have seen, okay, BRICS has roughly around 30% of the global GDP. So you see, it does not make any sense to compare, because you find that these memberships, these organizations also have, say, countries that are members of both organizations. Okay. Official language, Russian and Mandarin, because they were the founding members, guys. Okay. They were the founding members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Fine. India was the chair. India was the president for the year 2023. And Varanasi was our, that place that you make, like the flagship place that you make, that it's a symbolic place where all the meetings are held and all of that. So Varanasi was a place from our side. Okay, factual, not much to remember. Now let's look at the members. So you have Russia, okay, founding member. You have China, founding member. Then you have the Central Asian republics up until here. Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan. Okay, now I'll tell you why are these important. Then you have us, obviously. India is there. Our neighbors, Pakistan. And now you have had Iran that has come into this. So a total of 9 countries are part of this. If you look at the map now, okay, how are you going to remember? SCO is important for India because it wants to go ahead and collaborate and directly interact with these sets of nations. Okay, the stans essentially, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, the Central Asian republics they are called. Okay, or the Central Asian region also it is called, CARs. Okay. Now, historically, what you will find is that our engagement with these sets of nations has been limited. Keep that fact in mind as we go forward in this discussion, okay? You will realize why that factor is important. If you remember, just a couple of years ago in the Republic Day, the year that Corona was there, that it got cancelled, our foreign guests, the dignitaries that were supposed to grace that occasion, were all the leaders of these countries. Plus, there were at least, I think, 10 countries total. They were all supposed to come, remember, guys? Then it got cancelled because of coronavirus pandemic or something happened. They were supposed to join now it is called Kartavya Path, then Rajpath. Yes, they were going to be the guests of honor. So what is India looking to do with these kind of steps? Engage with these republics in a more wholesome fashion. Okay. That since historically we haven't given much importance to these countries, SCO becomes a platform for India to directly engage with them. Okay, point number 1 that you have to remember. Now let's go forward. Okay, so Iran is the newest member. So SCO has 9 members: China, India, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Russia, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan. Iran the newest. Belarus, as a student pointed out, will become the full member next year in 2024. It also has observer states and has dialogue partners, plus it has also a third category called guest countries. Okay, they are just to see, observe, nothing, not a lot to remember here. SCO itself also has observer status at the United Nations as an organization. Okay, its origin, Shanghai 5 group in the year 1996, led by China and Russia. Basics of SCO now you know. ठीक है, क्या करता है, कौन कौन से members हैं और इंडिया का पोजीशन क्या है. Aware? Everyone is aware following the class? Now let's go forward. So straight away one thing you'll realize is, look at this point now. One can observe that there are many potential areas of dispute amongst the members. Look at the members. You will straight away realize there are problems. China has problem with India. India has problem with Pakistan. Okay. These countries also have their own sets of problems. Russia and China share a mixed relationship which is now tending towards friendship. Okay. As a whole, they are also outlooked against the West, or at least the Western hegemony. Do you realize the problems associated with this organization now? Straight away you will realize as an aware student that there are too many factors pulling this group apart. Okay. For you to have a good representative voice on the global platform, you need cohesion, no? All the countries to speak in a uniform manner in one voice. But you have, say, China, Pakistan, obviously, the military of Pakistan essentially. Then you have India and all of these countries, differing interests. The areas of convergence are limited. पहला बात ये समझो आप, ठीक है? SCO का members तो आपको याद रहेगा. If you remember the CARs plus India, Pakistan, Russia, China, हो गया. And now Iran. ठीक है? But then from the mains perspective, this is point number 1 that you should remember. Now, balance this against India's interests to engage with these countries. You see why India is in this group now? For example, any aware student might straight away ask, why is India a part of this group when say both Russia, China and Pakistan are there? Would it not negate India's voice automatically since it's in the minority? Okay. At the same time, Russia and China, if you remember yesterday's discussion, their economies are interlinked, which means Russia will also side with China. So why is India there? Should be a very basic question. Why is India there? What's the point? हमारा जब बात ही नहीं रखा जा रहा तो हम क्यों हैं? Because it becomes a platform for us to directly engage with these parties, essentially negate that whole area, whole historical thing, no, that India will be self-isolated, non-alignment. Huh? All of those idealistic ideas now have been cast aside. Now what India follows is this, guys. Make a note of this, please. You will write this in your examination. What we have done is from non-alignment, okay, now India's foreign policy has come, forget this, okay. Now India's foreign policy has come to strategic autonomy, okay, strategic autonomy and multi-alignment. Okay, you will use these two words in your answer compulsorily. Okay, this was earlier, this is now. Okay, it does not mean that we have cast this aside. In fact, non-alignment is an intrinsic part of strategic autonomy. Do you realize? So it's not that we have completely cast aside non-alignment and the ideals set forward by, say, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. That hasn't happened. We have fine-tuned it to the contemporary times. So इस पे एक सवाल बनता है आज का, the today's question on mains, no, it is to do it directly with this only. Okay, that we will take a look at how India's strategic autonomy has now come of age and now say we have gone ahead of non-alignment. तो इसका आप note करेंगे please. Okay, make a note of this if you are taking down notes. All right, let's go forward now. There is one major problem of this is, as a body, no, it lacks a formal mechanism for dispute resolution. See, there is no formal mechanism for dispute resolution. What happens essentially is then that the big dogs, the ones that can bark the loudest, they have prevalence. In this case, it's Russia and China, since they are the founding members. In fact, so much so that the official language is Russian and Mandarin. Do you realize now? Okay. So now that we know what the SEO does, look at the problems now. This is a major slide for you. One of the drawbacks, if you can write, of the SEO. Okay. No congruence of thought or objectives. That is the major criticism. You can write this down. No congruence of thought or objectives. Because there are too many factors pulling this group apart. So you have obviously India and China at loggerheads. Okay. Then we have India and Pakistan over terrorism. Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan over border issues. Then at the same time, Taliban led Afghanistan and Pakistan. You know, Pakistan also has its own internal issues, the Baloch issue. Huh? At the same time, all of this organization also has, say, their human records. Huh? Human rights. Think of it, China. What human rights straight away can you identify? Name me 2, 3 in the chat. Can you identify, say, the suppression of press in Hong Kong? Number 1. Number 2, Xinjiang against Uyghur Muslims. Number 3, Tibet. Number 4, its treatment of the Taiwan government. Do you realize? So it's not like all these nations are perfect. What happens then? What happens because of all of these issues, guys? The bargaining power, no? The bargaining power of this organization is compromised. Why are these organizations being formed? Ask yourself this question. In spite of the fact that they are not friends, why are they together? It's essentially to do with the whole basic concept of collective. If you're standing up together in spite of your differences, you will have more bargaining power with the West. However, the West also realizes this major weakness of SCO, that it's a organization that's pulling apart in different directions. समझ रहे हो आप लोग? So you'll write this down, that its bargaining power is severely limited because of the conflicts, because of the human rights record. You have Russia now annexing Crimea. It's war against Ukraine. There's been a lot of criticism. Plus, any grouping that has Russia and China in it, you can realize from the American perspective, they're not going to warm up to it. ठीक है? Yes, dance floor, correct. All the India-China conflicts, not just in say military realm, in digital realm, in economics, economy, finance, we are divergent in so many thought processes. And in spite of that, we are on this platform. Why? That should be a first question. ठीक है? Let's go forward. So the challenges before SCO now. Number one, China's rise. The fear is that China will take over this group for its own narrow interests, also considering the fact that members herein are part of its Belt and Road Initiative. Members herein are part of its CPEC. We have discussed this in our daily news analysis every morning, right? Do you realize this, guys? So, when you have, say, CPEC and BRI, and the same countries are a part of the SCO, do you realize that the organization's priorities will be now determined by China? It will not be a consensus-based model, right? For any effective work to be done on a multilateral forum, you realize consensus-based outcomes, which is India's position always. Okay, this is India's position in any topic under the international relations, be it say climate, okay, be it energy. Besides terrorism, which India says is non-negotiable, there should be no consensus. Go ahead first. Those countries that are not agreeing to say define terrorism or say stop terrorism, charge them, penalize them. Besides terrorism, India's outlook on most other topics is to do with consensus-based outcomes. Write this topic down. Isko likhiye. You will write this similar line I'm telling you. This is going to fetch you marks. Okay. So China's rise, increasing the prospects for China's emergence as the dominant force, thus external pressures from other regional countries. Quite self-explanatory. Limited institutional mechanisms. In yesterday's class, in the BRI, in the BRICS class, we discussed, say, the institutional mechanisms. NDB was there, CRA was there, they had a statistical outlook. Remember, guys? Can you tell me, BRICS का था ना ये सब institutional mechanism जो हमने discuss किया था? New Development Bank is there, contingency fund is there. All of this is what? A part of the structure of the organization. SCO lacks all of those. Can you tell me in the chat very quickly if you remember that, the BRICS one? बताइए. Do you remember all of this? We discussed it in the class yesterday. So these are the institutional mechanisms that as a body you have and as a body you use. SCO के पास है ही नहीं. All it does is it has a number of bodies such as the Council of Heads of State, Council of Foreign Affairs. Remember this meeting in Goa that happened just I think last 2-3 weeks pehle, where the Foreign Minister of Pakistan was given left, right and center by Dr. S. Jaishankar. This was the meeting though. The foreign ministers came. They sorted out the agenda for this meeting. This is the way it goes forward in any multilateral forum, The junior ones will hash out the details. The Prime Minister, the heads of state will come, make a statement. Finished. Done. Okay? So they have all of these bodies, but they lack the formal decision making and enforcement power. See? Bas namesake ke liye hai ye. Just namesake bodies, which do not further the outlook of SCO, do not negotiate or say strengthen the work of SCO. Okay? As compared to BRICS, now you can realize that BRICS has the better institutional mechanisms. Okay? SCO lacks a formal mechanism for dispute resolution. Let's move ahead to the other challenges. Too many divergent forces within a system. Clear है ये तो सबको पता चल गया होगा अभी तक. ठीक है? Different political systems. Compare India's political system with Pakistan, with China's, with Russia. Just these four only you compare. One is a fully functional democracy. One is a military-controlled pseudo-democracy. Okay. This one party. This one, dictator. So, how can there be a similar outlook? Firstly, okay. Economic models again totally different. इनका तो कोई है ही नहीं मॉडल पहले तो. बाकी लोग का भी अलग अलग है. ठीक है. And strategic priorities. India's strategic priorities or India's strategy is to do with multi-alignment and strategic autonomy. Whereas in these cases, you are looking at the Pak-China axis, okay, which is developing. Then you have the Russia-China axis. Do you realize? You see how it's not converging at all. See, if you understand a body through its functionality, it becomes very easy to write answers or even just attempt any prelims question after that. Because you understand the macro overview and obviously you know the details, the factual details. Okay? Limited influence. A fair criticism since it does not have any membership from, say, Africa. It does not have any membership from, say, Latin Americas. Where is the representation? Which means it's a regional organization, which means limited influence. See, this is how you're going to be forming your chain, that forward and backward linkage we talk about, no? Forming it as a part of a larger web. This is how you're going to identify it. And obviously criticism from the Western countries, because why wouldn't they? You have Russia and China. Lack of democratic credentials, support from authoritarian regimes, human rights abuses. So why should anyone take this group seriously is the question. Are you able to understand, guys? Form the linkages. After that, all these organizations are so easy to remember. No, you will not have to mug up time and again. Just go through these notes, tuck, 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 tuck. Done. Mains answer आराम से लिख पाएंगे आप. ठीक है? Let's go forward. So what has the initiative? What are the key initiatives now? Okay. One is obviously the CPEC, which China and Pakistan are taking a keen interest in. Then there is this is important, International North-South Transport Corridor. Make a note of this, INSTC. Okay. And at the same time, make a note of RATS. Because the question will ask you, RATS mechanism is enforced by which organization? SCO, BRICS, G7, G20. ऐसे सवाल पूछेगा आपको. So you should know RATS is to do with SCO, the Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure. Why anti-terrorist? Because again, there is a lot of problems within these systems itself. So there needs to be better knowledge sharing. Okay. Obviously, you have Pakistan in the group and then still you are going anti-terrorist. It's like a oxymoron, but still. Okay. To promote cooperation among member states in the fight against terrorism, separatism, extremism. RATS ka dhyan rakhenge, guys. It's important from the pre-perspective. Question will be this similarly placed, RATS mechanism is enforced by or mooted by which organization? Even if it does not ask, at least in the mains perspective, you can write the whole objective of this organization is to promote knowledge sharing when it comes to counter-terrorism or anti-terrorism. Okay? RATS provides a platform for sharing intelligence. It's a knowledge sharing platform. Okay? Knowledge sharing platform, which means you're supposed to collaborate, not compete. Okay? Conducting joint exercises and operations, coordinating actions. But still, a group that has, say, organizations like Pakistan, to a certain extent China. You see, as a Western nation, if I were to see this paragraph, I'm going to be a little circumspect. I'm going to be a little like, how effective will it be? So, criticism again. Samajh rahe ho aap? Russia and China have drawn closer. See, this axis I was talking about, the Russia-China axis. This axis is essentially what? The convergence of these two powers, finding areas of mutual interest, then obviously standing up together to, say, Western hegemony. If you look at it, say, historically, West's, one of the key agenda of the Western powers has always been to drive a wedge between Russia and China. Because the realization there is that the day these two powers, say, form an unbreakable alliance, then it's a major problem because you are looking at two of the major powers in the world coming together. So a key agenda of the West has been to drive a wedge between these two parties, to maintain, say, as in that movie, Omkara movie में कहता है ना, संतुलन बना रहना चाहिए. That has been the agenda. Okay. So coming together of these two organizations in, say, BRICS or in SCO, this is seen as an emergence of, say, that consolidation of Russia-China axis that the West wanted to avoid so far. Are you able to get this first? बताइए चैट पे कितने लोग देख रहे हैं अभी? You should be able to tell me now. We have 10, 15, 20, how much? Okay. You should be able to tell me. Are you able to make that correlation that historically the fact that these two didn't come together for varied reasons, whatever. Okay. Now that they are coming together and finding the areas of convergence is a major problem for the Western powers, which is why you will see that SCO, BRICS, and the fact that more members are joining this, it's talking about the balance of shift happening now. That more countries are now looking eastwards, towards Russia, towards China, towards India, rather than say towards westwards. ठीक है, इसलिए आपको SCO और BRICS पढ़ना important है. All right, let's go forward. Go through this point. Okay, I've given you the crux of it. So now let's look at the INSTC, the International North-South Transport Corridor. Okay, multi-mode network of ship, rail and road. तीनों components हैं इसमें. Okay, for moving freight between India, Iran, Azerbaijan, Russia, Central Asia, the CARs, and Europe. In fact, in India, you are supposed to connect. The meeting point is at Mumbai. Okay. If you have heard about the Chabar port, have you heard of this port? The Chabar port. You will see that this is a part of the INSTC. So India has also built highways in Afghanistan. Why is it being done? So that you can move your goods seamlessly through this area. An area of conflict historically, which is why, say, the infrastructure has not developed. So all these nations came together and said, okay, maybe पैसे से बात बनेगा, infra बनाते हैं, ठीक है? So increased trade connectivity between major cities such as Mumbai, India, Moscow, Russia, Tehran, Iran, Baku, Azerbaijan, Bandar Abbas, Iran, Astrakhan in Russia, and Bandar Anzali in Iran. Okay, this is in the Oblast region, by the way. If you know where the Oblast region is, you will know what is happening. See, seamless trade connectivity. Right from Mumbai, if you can carry your goods up till Oblast region, you can realize the effects of this now. This will radically change the political outlook of this whole place. But for that, it has to become a reality. For that, all of these nations need to come together. Okay. This will also synchronize the Ashgabat Agreement. Remember this in context of the INSTC. So look at this. You're going from here up until Europe. Okay. Covering this vast area. It will be a game changer if this happens. And again, not just for our exports, but for the overall outlook of the area. Our exports will obviously boom once this happens. In fact, dry runs have been conducted. Okay. There were dry runs conducted from to transport a good right from Mumbai to Europe. And so this might become operational in the near future. Okay. So INSTC is again very important for you to remember. Now let's come to yesterday. Yesterday there was this virtual meeting. Again, a virtual meeting was a problem. You realize first all of these heads of state were first supposed to come to India and attend this in person. However, because of non-confirmation of the representatives of Pak and China, India decided to do this virtually. Now this came at a cost for India. What was the cost? The Central Asian region, the republics, okay? So they could not come during a Republic Day because of coronavirus. Now again, when it came to say the SCO, couldn't come again. So you realize this is a missed opportunity, because eventually the whole motive behind this organization is to engage directly with that set of countries. That we have been unable to in the last 2 attempts. Okay. If you have seen this particular TV series, Yes Minister. Okay, BBC had a very interesting series in the 80s. I don't know if you find it online. It's called Yes Minister. Okay. So there the foreign secretary and the minister are talking to each other. Go ahead, if you're a civil service aspirant, you should see it. It'll be very interesting, and plus it'll tell you the ground realities. So the foreign secretary and the minister are talking to each other. So that time they're discussing about, say, entering into the Euro, the European Union. So the foreign secretary says, so minister, what do you think? We should enter or not? So the minister says, you tell me, what's your opinion? He's like, yeah, we should absolutely enter, because only then we can go ahead and mess it up totally. So that is also one tangent you have to look at. The fact that you are in the organization gives you some leverage. You are in a better position than rather being not a part of it. You can block, you can disrupt, you can support, you can negotiate, only if you stay within the organization. If you're not a part of the organization, kya kar loge aap? See? So this is another motivation for India staying in it, in spite of the fact that, say, you have Russia, you have China, you have Pakistan. Understand it that way. Okay. And if you find time sometime, go ahead and look at this. You'll find it most interesting. You'll be able to correlate with why the government does what it does. Okay. So the Indian government coined the New Delhi Declaration, that was yesterday, and proposed at the SCO summit aiming to fight against terrorism. In fact, the statement that came out yesterday, the joint statement, there was a paragraph on the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative, which was not endorsed by India. It was endorsed by all the other parties, but India did not endorse it. So they had to list out that paragraph, and India was not in that paragraph. Okay. So with the exception of BRI, consensus was achieved on most of the other things. The declaration also proposes 4 other joint statements on de-radicalization, sustainable lifestyle, production of millets, and digital transformation. This essentially is to do with mission life. I'm sure you're aware of what is mission life. Targets the individual, makes sustainable choices, the behavioral choices. I'm sure you're aware what mission life is, guys. You know? So the rest, it's there. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin was also there. The first time that he appeared, or not appeared, in a multilateral forum, he appeared after the recent attempt against him. And so he thanked the nations for their support against the Wagner group. Okay. All of this. Pakistani Prime Minister, as usual, you'll know what he speak about. Not important for us. Member states agreed to declare 2024 as the SCO year of environment. Okay. Again, a factual basis, nothing much to remember. But note the areas of convergence, okay? Isko note karo aap. These are the areas of convergence for this particular group, with the exception of BRI. This is where India is not agreeing to. Right? Alright, let's go forward. Now let's look at this question, guys. From the mains perspective, I would advise you, मैं तो आपको थोड़ा introduction दूंगा और I'll tell you about it. But I would advise you, if you're writing mains this year, take my word for it, go prepare on this. Prepare at least 2,000 words on this, from the essay perspective as well as from the GS perspective. At least 2,000 words on this. Okay, if anyone is writing mains, you'd be best advised to know about this. Multi-alignment and strategic autonomy. What does it mean? I introduced it to you briefly, but let's look at it. A series of parallel relationships that strengthen multilateral partnerships and seeks a common approach. Say you are in the Quad, India is in the Quad also. India is also in the SCO. Okay. India is in the G7. It was invited in the G7 summit. It's not a part of the G7, but it was invited in the G7 summit in Hiroshima recently. And yet you find that it is also a part of BRICS, where there are Russia, China. So how is it that India is also a part, India is also pally with US, and India is also pally with, say, the Russia-China axis? How is India able to do it? Because we are pursuing this multi-alignment and strategic autonomy. Okay. Why are we doing it? To negotiate the Russia-China axis and the China-US axis. हिंदी में कहावत है कि जब धान पीसते हैं ना तो घुन भी पीसता है साथ में. India does not want to be घुन. That in your whatever confrontation or disputes, we will have an independent viewpoint. Yes, we will have areas of convergence with both parties. Okay. Because that era of self-isolation for India is over now. It's a more forward-looking foreign policy that we are pursuing. And it is independent of our friendships with any party. Okay. Friendships be at a particular place, a particular importance. Eventually, it's about our autonomy. Having strategic autonomy in making sure that our choices are determined by us, not by anyone else. Samajh rahe ho aap? Okay. So, era of self-isolation, non-alignment has been cast aside. Not completely like thrown away, but it has been refined, fine-tuned, you can say. Okay. India's philosophy of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, championing global good whilst speaking up for the global south. So even in these forums you will see, in BRICS, in the G7 summit, even in SCO, it's talking about the issues that the global south is facing. When you see it's talking about climate, देखो किस किस चीज़ें पर बात कर रहा है, तब आप समझोगे किसके लिए बात कर रहा है. See, it's talking about climate change. Who will be affected most by climate change? Global South. Production of millets, national prerogative. Digital transformation, who needs it the most? Global South. Okay. De-radicalization. Oh, well, obviously this is a world problem. France being a prime example. Okay. Understand this clear? SCO का mandate, membership, क्या problem, challenges, initiatives, सब कुछ पता होना चाहिए आपको. Absolutely, dance floor. I agree with you there. 100%. Okay, so this is the mains question of the day, guys. This is the mains question. Many students have been sending in their answers. I have been most impressed. Some answers, hi Jatin, good morning. Some answers are really, really, really good. I am actually impressed. So keep up the good work. Those who are sending in your answers, send in for this. This is my question to you for the day. This is my email ID. Many students, I saw one person who had commented on yesterday's video. I saw it today morning, so I couldn't respond back. This is my email ID if you're watching this, my dear friend. Please send in your answers. I'll be more than happy to evaluate. Last night I received some answers. Around 3-4 answer kal ke pending hai. 3-4 answers I have yet to respond to, which I will do so after this session is over. Meanwhile, go ahead, shoot your answers for this. And if you're not part of my Telegram channel yet, go ahead. It's a place of learning, guys. Okay, I don't intend on using this for anything else except just making sure that your needs are sufficiently fulfilled. Alright, if you understood the whole SEO concept, if now you are able to form the macro picture in your head, leave me a like quickly first. नहीं तो आप लोग भूल जाते हो. ठीक है? Leave me a like and now we'll move forward. ठीक है? Please make sure, I implore you guys, send me the answers. Okay, before we go forward now, today is the 5th, which means this offer, the selective part, the one part of this offer is closing today. What is this course first? The Prelims to Interview Initiative. This is the morning batch, because again we had a huge response for the evening batch and many students expressed their inability or their problems with the evening batch. Time nahi tha us samay. So morning batch is coming up beginning on the 10th. Like the way we approach current affairs, take you from the basics up until mains. This is going to be the way forward for each and every topic. Okay, making sure you are armed with so much of information that you have the skill set to display your knowledge, say through words or writing. This is the primary thrust. Three languages, Hindi, English and English. I will be a part of this cohort, the English cohort. Okay, go ahead, sign up, and if you sign up by this evening now, guys, well, you get 2 books that are primary texts written by the former Coal Secretary of India on the subject of ethics. Okay, so whenever you go and sign up on the website studyiq.com, okay, go ahead, take this course in whichever language you so wish and use the code BALIVE. Okay, make it absolutely certain that you use the code BALIVE, as I become a part of that cohort, then I become a part of your journey. Fine. Okay, let's go forward to the second topic. Now this is going to be interesting. So I asked all of you when we began the class as to what dark pattern is, and I received some very interesting answers. So let's go ahead and expect your answer to this. I in fact request you, इसका मुझे जवाब बताइए chat पे please. Let's see. We'll discuss dark patterns now, and something very interesting, by the way. You know, go ahead. Let me know in the chat. What are dark patterns? Black spots in space where space-time continuum is being studied, selective tanning of the skin under the sun, strategies used by marketing agencies to deceive users, black dye, which is carcinogenic in nature. Go ahead, guys. Who wants to give it a shot? Quickly. क्या लग रहा है? क्या होगा? Huh? Let's have some answers very quickly. What are dark patterns? Because you know what? These kind of words which do not give away the meaning, okay, are often asked by UPSC. And then there will be a very obvious answer that they'll give you, which you should never choose. Okay, we'll understand. Okay. Good dance floor, Madhusudan. Excellent. Good, good. Let's look at dark patterns, guys. All of you have seen this. अभी आप लोग YouTube पे देख रहे हो ना. If you haven't taken, say, the YouTube subscription, you will see suddenly in the middle a pop-up will come. Use it for 3 months for some particular rupees. Have you seen that? That is dark pattern. Or if you say have ordered from Zomato sometime. Okay. If you order from Zomato, say suppose you order one chai combo, 99 rupees. Then when you go to the checkout, you suddenly see that 249 is also added, their Zomato Gold membership. And suddenly you're like, एक कप चाय का 350 क्यों मांग रहा है ये? This has been automatically added. These are called dark patterns, where you're looking to deceive the consumer, where the information is not fair and transparent. For example, in the European Union, all of you must have had Amazon Prime membership, or most people would have had, रहा होगा कभी ना कभी तो. So Amazon Prime membership, okay, in European Union. So when you had to sign up, it's so easy, straight away. 2 seconds it takes to sign up. But if you want to cancel your subscription, the process is so cumbersome that a user gets demotivated. Eventually, like, छोड़ो हटाओ यार. Okay? That is called dark pattern. If you have seen Friends, I don't know if you have seen. So these two friends go together to the gym to cancel or close their gym membership. But then they get deceived and cajoled to continue their membership. So it's a marketing strategy that companies use in the online world to make sure that you are deceived. And how do they do it? They prey on a person's cognitive biases. They use scare tactics, pressure tactics. So we'll discuss that. Very interesting today. Okay. So strategies employed by websites and apps to make users perform actions they did not intend, or to discourage behaviors that are not advantageous for the companies. Okay. So they will exploit cognitive biases. We'll discuss what are cognitive biases. And they will employ tactics. False urgency. Last 2 samples left in the Myntra sale. Go ahead quickly, buy this. Oh, your sister or your partner or your mother will quickly go ahead and buy it. False information. This is what? They have employed this false urgency. How do you know 2 samples left or 200 samples left? Okay. Forced actions. Something like what Zomato probably would do. Okay. Hidden costs. Same thing. Let's go back to Zomato only, my favorite app. You order something for 99 rupees, tax, CGST, SGST मिला के another 28 रुपया, and then suddenly you find 55 rupees. Packaging cost. Packaging cost. Hidden cost. Were you aware of the hidden cost? No. But now you have come so far, you're like, छोड़ यार भूख लगा है खाना मंगाते हैं. See? So the types. False urgency. Basket sneaking, which is this, guys. Introducing your premium subscription or some other product. By default, adding it to your until unless you do not cancel, you do not know. Okay. Forced action, confirm shaming, subscription traps, hidden costs. What is confirm shaming? You must have seen before you go ahead on these apps and just before you make the payment, it will say, oh, have you forgotten these products also? It will show you some 10 products. Then you will be like, हाँ यार ये ले लेते हैं क्या, वो ले लेते हैं क्या? What are you doing? You are pressurizing the user to buy more. Okay. This is called dark patterns. You are using the human tendency or using human biases in an unfair manner. Okay. So the way forward, obviously, this has started, by the way. This is an article I've picked from the Indian Express. So I go ahead and implore you have a look at it. The Central Consumer Protection Authority, in fact, has gone ahead and started compiling cases. कि अब ये इसको लेके कुछ एक step लिया जाएगा. This is not fair for a consumer or a consumer base that is not that educated or aware enough. Our digital penetration is very high. Our consumer knowledge and information is quite low. So to fulfill that gap, because the companies here are doing these things. Okay. So to protect the consumer, this organization needs to go ahead and do it in a major fashion. Okay. Cases are already being compiled. Focus on user awareness. These companies need to be educated first. What you're doing is unethical, and follow the global best practices. The European Union, in fact, fined Amazon to such a huge amount that they forgot this in that market thereafter. So, you need to take one company, make an example out of it, so that everyone else falls in line. Okay? Very important and very, very interesting. In fact, you like this kind of information. So, cognitive biases. So, what is cognitive? To do with our brain, cognition. And biases when you have, say, a particular viewpoint that is not rational or that is uninformed. Okay. So when we are given a particular, or when we have to assess a particular threat situation, a risk situation, we often have these cognitive biases. So for example, if you say that, okay, I do not like flying, maybe the plane might crash. However, statistics might say that you are much more likely to die in a road accident, yet you are much more comfortable driving. Cognitive bias. You have assumed something and you are following your actions because of that bias. You know, it's not educated enough, but still you have a bias. Fine. So this is host of cognitive biases are there, guys. Okay. So you have the anchoring effect, wherein if you receive one information, you assume it to be true throughout after that. Okay. Relying too much on the initial piece of information and then taking your decisions. Right. So go ahead. It's very interesting. You have belief bias, bandwagon effect. Okay. Availability. If you see something time and again, you think, oh, it is very important. Okay. Do you realize now why if some individuals are quite famous on YouTube? There is the cognitive bias behind that too. That you have seen them far too many times in reels and videos that you think, oh, they must be really good. Do you realize? It's a cognitive bias. So go ahead and read about it. It's very, very interesting. Okay. All right. So that brings me to the end of this class. We discussed the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. By the way, before you go, one short announcement, 9:30 a.m., just in half an hour. I am back again online as we'll be discussing the chip wars now. Okay. This was something I wanted to do last night, but then it rained like crazy in NCR and it was quite difficult. I didn't want to swim my way through to here. So it's at 9:30. Okay. Bhaskar, cognitive bias, please repeat first point. Sure. So this one, right? The anchoring effect. Did you want me to talk about the anchoring effect? So for example, if you are doing a sample set, okay? If you are doing a sample set of say 10 iterations. So after the first iteration, you find everything okay. Okay. You take this as the benchmark and you say, okay, you know what? I think we are fine here. This works out fine. Let's go forward. Anchoring effect. You'd have taken your first sample size to be the final outcome. Not true. Okay? So go ahead, have a look at this slide. There are many others. All right. So stay tuned and join me at 9:30. All right. We'll discuss the chip wars, specifically two particular items that have been banned by China, germanium and gallium. Okay. And obviously that ban has come because of some action that the West has taken. So we'll discuss that. What is the consequence of that on the say semiconductor industry, on the EV industry, solar panels? And is it the advent of a new Cold War that we are seeing? You know, so we'll discuss that at 9:30. Please do make sure to join me for that. Just this in half an hour right now. And if you like this again, leave me a like and join my Telegram channel. Okay? Make sure you send me the answers, guys. Keep this momentum going forward. I have around 22 answers that come on a daily basis. Keep the momentum going forward. Don't miss a day. If I don't miss a day, so shouldn't you. All right? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Once again, leave me a like. If you liked something, leave me in the comment. Let me know in the comment box. If you did not like something, let me know that too in the comment box. I'll try and improve. Take care. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. And I'll see you exactly in 30 minutes from now on. Take care, guys.